Hello and welcome to the Racetech UV8 SuperCar Series live on Apex Racing TV for rounds 11 and 12 of this championship. We're here at the Belle circuit in Detroit in Michigan. And taking you through the action tonight will be myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside Marco Barbinet, who's also on the cameras as well. And Marco, we've just come from a fantastic super sprints round at Watkins Glen. Saw Sam Buzan, the big winner there, along with a couple of other drivers taking race wins. It was a fantastic meeting, this time going back to the conventional sprint and feature format, but this Belle circuit really poses a unique challenge for these drivers.
Yes, absolutely, Sam. And hello, everyone. Hello to you. And it's, a track that I was very happy to see back in the schedule after the fun we've had here the first time around. I remember also a flip, if I'm not mistaken, for Josh Thompson. Yeah, I think it was him flipping on the front stretch.
Yes.
And landing back on all four, I have to say. So, but the racing was absolutely exciting, and a track that is very much, in the DNA of these cars. Of course, they don't race here in real life, but they have their fair share of road courses in the Australian V8 Championship. Not to mention the final round of the series is held in a street circuit for it has been for quite a while. First it was Sydney, and now it has become Newcastle since a couple of years ago. And so a realistic proposition for these drivers, a tough one. You cannot afford to make any kind of mistakes here. You can see where George McClay is right now, one of the few run-off areas, if we can call it that way. So then, concentration will need to be top level. Drivers will have to stay concentrated, especially in the reverse grid race, the second one, because yes, you are faster, but if you want to make up those positions, first of all, you need to be out of trouble.
Yes, we saw two first-time winners 2 weeks ago. Apologies, Hal Stadler, for not mentioning it earlier on, but of course, Hal Stadler, Sam Buzan, like I said earlier on as well. And it was also Tony Klusterman who got the other win. Not quite sure. Maybe it was Taliencic. No, I think it was Taliencic who got the first win. Apologies. Certainly the possibility in this feature race with that big reverse grid coming up, almost certainly. Fantastic opportunity for someone to take their first win once again. Of course, it's going to be so difficult to overtake around this circuit. No obvious overtaking spots. Maybe turn 3 is a good opportunity for you, but at the same time, it's quite easy to defend down into that corner, narrow around this entire place. And it will be a great challenge for these drivers, and this is why we love visiting this place every single time. In the championship, Johnny Brandon is leading the way. George McClay lines up in second place, but only 100 points behind. So, by the way, that's 2,159 to 2,068. So, not a big gap by any means. Tony Klusterman a little bit further behind, but, still won race so far this season and will be a force to be reckoned with, will be double champion. Hal Stadler lines up in fourth, I think just behind Klusterman. Just shows how consistent a season Stadler has had. Chris Jackson is in fifth and Richard Warmingham in sixth. And of course, a couple of the other championship drivers, Nick Foggy not around for the past couple of races, and also Michael Taliencic, unfortunately not here today either. Should still have a couple of great races going on, and already we're lining up on the grid for the first race of the evening, and on pole position it is Johnny Brandon. It's almost championship order with Brandon on pole position, a couple of hundredths of a second ahead of George McClay. Then it's Tony Klusterman on the second row alongside his teammate Chris Jackson. Then it's Richard Warmingham, Harold Stadler. Great to see Victor Tanaka back in seventh. Then it's Guy Croft, Claire Mason, really good qualifying for Claire. Then it's Ryan Walker, good qualifying for him as well in 10th. Then it's Nikolai Bogataya, Lane O'Connor, Ronald Means, Yehan An, a new driver to the series, Anthony Woodward, Michael Frost, Peter Bingham, Andrew Hoffman, Sam Buzan, Clyde Whiting, and then it's Bill Switzer in 21st place. Didn't set a qualifying time. Hopefully we'll see him take the start.
Yes, so the drivers are getting ready. It's always tricky, this first corner, Sam. And I think drivers will have to be very careful going into there, because it seems like you have a lot of space, then you don't have it, and then all of a sudden coming out of the second corner, the left-hander, there's a massive bump on the outside, as the pace car driver in IndyCar found out a couple of years ago. I'm sure all of you have saw that video in the past. It was quite hilarious. Nice cameras done by Sam Fitzpatrick tonight, which shows finally a decent angle for the race start for a change. Thank you, Sam, for your great work, and we are just about ready to start.
Yes, here we go then. So it's Johnny Branton on the pole position. George McClay in second place. Who's going to reach turn 1 first? We are away for race 1 at Belle Isle. Branton gets a really good launch, and in fact McClay is going to be under pressure from the rest of the drivers, and going straight up into second place is Tony Klusman. Fantastic start from Never Racing driver, but he's lost it on the bump, as Marco was saying, and somehow he stays ahead of George McClay. Kept his foot in. McClay will go to the outside. The inside just not possible. Too tight an angle, and McClay's got to be careful not to go into the back of the Canadian. Here comes Jackson trying to sniff at the rear of his car as well, as they've got to drive around into the wall. I think that might be Mason going round. Fortunately, no one else piling in. Michael Frost has got going, but I think maybe started from the pit. Everyone else not hitting the wall too hard. Oh, as Anthony Woodward now spins around, and that's Sam Buzan having to stop for him. Brian Walker is... No, Jehan Arndt, sorry, is involved in this one as well, and he's turning back to the pits. So he's the only driver to go back so far. Brandon still leading way ahead of Lusterman.
Not a good start for the South Korean driver, making his debut in the series. I think there was contact between Croft and Mason, and that almost spun Croft to save it. Nothing to do for Mason, unfortunately. Nothing could save her car, and then later another crash there that involved Han and other competitors. So as the drivers go about finishing their first lap, the big winner, of course, is Tony Klusterman with a great start, jumping George McClay, and now setting his sights on Johnny Brandon there at the front of the field. Even though he has to be careful, look how aggressive he's been. Oh, wow, he's not leaving anything, and any stone unturned is Tony Klusterman, really throwing everything in these early laps to get and stay close to Johnny Brandon.
Yeah, he doesn't really have the turn down switch, does Klusman. It's all or nothing for him. I remember in season 4 the last time, sorry, it wasn't season 4, season 5? Season 5. The last time we visited this circuit, he had a bit of a mare. He spun a couple of times. Fortunately, he didn't retire from either race, but he did have a bit of a tricky time. Just because he drives at 92% as Tony all of the time. Around this pace, he needs a little bit of margin for error. But right now, it's looking good for him, and he's really putting pressure on the championship leader, and he'd love to get some points back in that championship today. And it's a real opportunity if your championship driver has an issue to really make back a whole heap of points. And you can see Brandon almost taking a defensive line, it's certainly a tight line. That's not going to be best for his momentum. This is pretty much the closest battle all the way down the field. We'll keep an eye out on moves, because any move around this place is going to be very significant. So difficult to do so. And can get the move done even in these early stages to going to be looking strong to hang on to it for the rest of the race. But you can see Klusman just with that Constantino effect, struggling to stay right close to his rival. Constantly an effect of just the driver head getting on the power slightly earlier, but Brandon driving very smoothly at the moment.
Big crash for Bill Switzer, and that will be his race. Unfortunately, towing back to the pits. As we go back live, all the drivers setting, of course, their personal best, and Gary Croft is around. Oh, he's on the racing line. I think that car is destroyed or having issues, as someone is getting past. His Giant Han went to the pits and got his fast repair, so he's certainly looking to try to stay on the track and get a good starting position for race 2. By the way, nice to have, first of all, a driver from South Korea, the Asian region, of course, a little bit, disadvantaged by the time zone of this European series. Secondly, is very simple but good-looking South Korean flag-style livery with the same colors as the flag. And thirdly, he's driving a Ford. Oh, warming him in the wall.
Yes, Richard Warmingham having issues right there.
see a replay of the crash, this very tricky corner. He had already some damage on the front left, and that did not do any favor to his car as the fight at the front is getting closer and closer. Brandon Klusterman, 0.4 of a second. McLay, 1:30.9. Fastest lap of the race for him, as we have another issue. Oh no, this is Birmingham pitting, taking his fast repair. They have one at their disposal, these drivers, per race. And of course, it's vitally important, Sam, to stay on that lead lap, because otherwise you will not be eligible for the reverse grid.
Yes, definitely, and it's a great opportunity. So I think we've got another driver in the wall. I think Peter Bingham's just gone into the wall, down the pit straight. That's a bit of an odd incident because he seems to be about halfway down the back straight, but great shame for Pete Bingham there for Vulcan Racing, and they are chopping like flies at the moment. As he was saying, Marky, one finish on the lead lap, but a lot of these drivers are not going to be able to accomplish that, unfortunately. Should have a reverse grid, around 16 drivers at least, but could well be a full reverse grid, especially with a few drivers falling out of the eligibility. George McClay, fastest lap of the race on that last one, 0.3 of a second ahead of, 0.3 faster than Johnny Brandon, so he's catching back up to the top two despite losing that place right at the start.
Yes, this is shaping up to be a very, very exciting race one, with the top three seemingly very close in terms of lap times, and like you said, McClay looking a bit faster than the two guys in front of him. Matter of fact, he's slightly the quickest of the top three, and on those same times as Klusterman. I would hope that is because of the Canadian connection, slightly taps the wall there, or maybe he did. You know, with it's a bit tricky sometimes with the delay, the lag, the latency, to be precise, to have a good idea of what these cars are doing. Sometimes Tony sideways for the third time, I think, in the first couple of laps. And whilst Tony, of course, is a driver that knows what he's doing, and he can save the car, we know for experience too many of those, and you can basically put your tires in the trash bag and say goodbye to them.
Yes, definitely. And these drivers, yeah, do not want to have an extra pit stop whatsoever. Don't want to fall down the order by any means. Yeah, we won't be eligible for that second race. Brandon takes a slightly contrary line to Klusterman through that part of the circuit, but just such a tricky circuit. Each driver kind of deals with it in their own little way. Some take these quite high curves, some try to avoid them at all costs. And yeah, it's quite contrary, some of these racing lines from these drivers at the moment. McClay on this lap falling a little bit further back. He was about 1.2 seconds pace down, now 1.7 seconds behind. Quite a poorer lap, in fact, about nearly 1.5 seconds slower than his previous one. So he just lets the top two off the leash.
Fight for the lead in the club championship as well, with Whiting and Buzyn first and second. Buzyn, of course, race winner 2 weeks ago, and looking for a class win this time around as we go. Sadly, the NQR guys have, switched back to their traditional paints after using those beautiful NASCAR team liveries for the Watkins Glen round. Their liveries are beautiful as well, but those were absolutely great, especially for a NASCAR fan like me. As Buzyn on the inside, trying to make the move, good defending there from Whiting, but I think he will have to defend a bit more because Buzyn doesn't have any intention of letting this one go.
No, he certainly seems to have the advantage on pace at the moment, does Sam Buzyn. But it's difficult to pick your spot. He's right close to Whiting. Whiting just needs to keep his car on the right side of the circuit here, and he should be able to cover off any kind of attack. It gets so narrow around this part, so you see that big curve, can't possibly attack it too much. And of course that very threatening wall on the outside, so easy to understeer straight into it nose first. And then through here, gets even narrower. And just not an opportunity. Whiting puts this guy in the middle of the circuit. He's just about doing enough at the moment to hang on to this race lead. We've seen some classic duels around this circuit, and it's difficult to really do one justice in about 20 minutes. But Busan is certainly trying at the moment, because this is fantastic racing between the two of them. Once again into the slipstream, is he going to have a chance going into turn 1? Waiting, not defending too much, and Busan stays behind for another lap. Hoffman catching these guys by about half a second.
Yes, and Hoffman also in the hunt for the class win. So we'll keep an eye on this, as Busi now using the slipstream and once again trying to get the most, as we have a big dive there from Anthony Woodward. He has to lock his brakes at the same time, side by side just for a second between Whiting and Busen, but nothing happening. Great fight here in the back now on the, you know, the those who are a bit more focused on the action might have noticed that Sam Busin has a black banner on his car instead of a white one, but on the official datasheet is signed as a club driver. So we will attain to the official data provided by the championship, by the great organizers, by Clyde Whiting himself, who might switch, you know, Sam's class on the fly to protect his win. Who knows?
Of course, next season, Busan will not be eligible for that. Neither will Anthony Woodward either. They finished in the top 5 in the last race at Watkins Glen, in race 2, I believe it was. And so they will lose that status, and they'll be pro drivers next season. But Whiting needs to get a top 5 in order to stop his club rating, as Busan gets close once again into turn 1. This seems to be where he gets the closest around the entire circuit, but he really needs to be on the tail of the driver ahead. Going into turn 1, as we see side by side, they're just behind of a couple of other drivers. Also action going on between Jackson, Tanaka and Stadler. So Whiting staying ahead of Busan in that battle we were previously watching, but also Brandon 1.3 seconds now ahead of Kloosterman. 1.5 seconds, so he's actually pulling away a little bit further. McClay catching by nearly 1 second on that last lap. Seems like Brandon has all the answers he needs to take this race victory today. Of course, race 2 going to be much more difficult for the defending champion. And, oh sorry, the Season 6 champion. Warmingham also coming from the rear, has quite a few drivers he could potentially overtake. He's in this big battle with Busan and Whiting and Woodward, Hoffman, Warmingham. And again, catching these guys considerably by about 3 seconds of that, but I don't think it's going to be enough in time. Woodward going to be, Hoffman under pressure from Warmingham. Down the inside goes the XVR driver, and he does move up. Hoffman just about misses the wall on the side of the circuit, and that is a good move there from Warmingham up into 14th.
Very good move there. Hopefully the behind the scenes issue that we were having has been solved, Sam. Hopefully.
I am not sure. I will test it.
So the cameras now are on Alar Stadler, and he's fighting for position with Tanaka. And Tanaka, of course, after battling hard with Chris Jackson, has lost a bit of momentum, even though he has gained 15 places from his starting position. And now he's looking to defend on the Texans Fitztime Motorsports driver, as they enter once again turn 3 and hopping on the curb.
unfortunately, the issue that I was facing still isn't working. What is this? What is this technology? Of course, Pascal Higglin does an absolutely fantastic job. Check out SDK Gaming to use this overlay. I mean, you can use it on your streams. I mean, it looks like the F1 one, of course, but even better. So, I mean, certainly do check out their website. But right now, not a great advertisement because it's not working great for me. Anyway, Brandon's still leading the way, but yes, side by side further behind.
And back to this fantastic fight between Whiting, Wormingham, Buzyn, etc. as we are heading to the final 5 minutes of this fantastic race 1. And of course now Whiting having Wormingham in between himself and Buzyn. Wormingham going on the outside, he cannot make the move stick. Also behind them, look at Anthony Woodward, he is trying to profit from the chaos that is happening in front of him, but so far nothing has changed in this fantastic fight that is also, remember, for 11th place overall, as we take a look back from Whiting's car and see the very angry XVR Racing Ford of Wormingham closing in on the Vulcan Racing Holden. Of course, these cars about, well, not about, but in a not so distant future, they will not be, available. They will be upgraded, they will be replaced. That's the word I was looking for. But the new Mustang and the new Commodore.
Yes, so absolutely fantastic for the stage when that occurs as warming up round the outside, almost contact. There may have been contact between the two of them. Good momentum for warming up round the outside through this next corner. And Whiting's going to go spinning round into the wall. Is he going to collect Hoffman? Yes, he does. Can the pair of them carry on to the end? They really want to finish on the lead lap, of course. Whiting might even fall behind Croft as well, who is coming up. Here comes Croft, who just about takes evasive action. And this is how the incident happened.
Yes, here we go with a replay. Oh, yes, you were right. I didn't catch that contact with Hoffman, but it definitely happened. And so now Buzyn looking to a class victory, but he has to defend from Woodward behind him. Woodward is 0.7 of a second behind. This fight, I think, here between between Tanaka and Stadler is the one we will be focusing on in these final moments of the race, as the fight for the lead seems to be going Johnny Brandon's way, and same goes for Klusterman and McClay, who are 1 second apart from each other, but seems to be like Klusterman will be able to hold on to the second spot on the podium, as now Tanaka takes a slightly wider line. Let's go on board with Stadler for a bit.
Yeah, Stadler going round the outside. This would be mega bold. He's always quite a conservative, I say a conservative driver, Stadler. I mean, he's a measured driver. He's not going to go for anything too rash, and of course he's got half a chance. That's certainly a good result in the championship, currently residing in 4th place. And if something happens to the 3 drivers ahead of him, could certainly profit from that and maybe even launch a late championship challenge. Struggling to get the power down the tyres, perhaps overheating at this late stage in the race with this 31 degrees track temperature, but so many traction zones around this place, so many times you have to deploy the power. Obviously going to wear out those tyres quite a bit. Tanaka certainly with a more healthy lead across the line, as we're on the last lap, but not on the last lap. We've got one more to go after this. Only a 90-second lap this, which isn't particularly long. It feels a lot longer when you're driving the car because it is so difficult. Every corner is an opportunity to crash. Yeah, still got time for one more after this one for these drivers. And still looking very good for Johnny Brandon, up ahead, 2.5 seconds ahead. So maybe Klusman could launch a challenge for a while, but across the 20 minutes, Brandon just with that extra margin for error, perhaps that extra, that extra margin for error, perhaps just helping him to bang out those consistent laps.
Yes, absolutely, as Croft is trying to line up a move on Whiting, but that is not happening right now as this duo here is slightly in front of our race leader. So they will have this lap and one more, unless they get lapped, which is very unlikely. As they are nose to tail, as they go towards turn 3, Whiting and Croft. Croft seeming, of course, Whiting with the damage. Here he comes, Croft on the inside. And trying to go for a move, but what happened to Tony Klusterman?
He's down into 3rd place.
With big damage
Still
on
with
his
a
front
healthy
left.
margin. He's going to just have to nurse that one round. But Klusterman pushing too hard, despite the fact that it looked as though it was a done deal. That 2nd place wasn't going to catch up to Brandon. Had a healthy margin over McLeod of about 1.5 seconds. But Tony Klusterman has hit the wall. And this is going to be a painful final lap for him.
Yeah, sadly we don't have the exact moment when that happened, but certainly Tony Klusterman dropping some valuable points in this first race as we are now into the final lap. And here we go with Johnny Brandon going on to the, what we can call it, the backstretch for the final time in this first race, and about to bring home the another victory in his Euro V8's career. Whilst back in the Club Championship, Woodward is holding on Buzin for the class victory. And that happened just a few seconds ago, by the way, while we were watching the chaos happen.
Oh, Bogdatov's had a crash, but meanwhile, Brandon is going to take the race victory here at Belle. He wins race 1, does the championship leader. Now, what has happened to Nikolai Bogatov and Ryan Walker came together. Lane O'Connor has profited. Ronald Moon's moving through, although he's got issues.
Here we go with the replay then, on the backstretch. Oh, slight contact there between Walker and Bogatov. Sadly, they both went around one of the XVR cars, and another car as well plowed into them with nowhere to go, as Buzin has gotten back into the lead of the amateur class. Well, we throw a replay and everything happens. It's the 3rd or 4th time it has happened in this first race.
What a crazy final lap this is. Walker's only just ahead of these guys. He'll just about beat Sam Buzan. He was behind Woodward, was behind Whiting, I think, at one point as well. But he is going to win the club race out here. Nice one for Sam Buzan. Race win overall 2 weeks ago at Watkins Glen. But he will happily take that 12th place overall and a club race win. Today, Walker still got 11. Bogatov still got 8. He didn't actually, he only lost 1 place to Bogatov, which, I mean, I don't quite know how that's possible, but very fortunate there for him. But yeah, the driver's just completing doing that fantastic race 1. And of course, race 2 coming up, double the length, 40 minutes, and they are going to have to do a pit stop in that race as well. So it will be fantastic to see these guys go at battle. But Marco, Johnny Brandon winning that first race, I mean, that was a very responsible job. That was typical Johnny Brandon or Nicole Foggy driver, I'd say. I mean, those two drivers, once they get into the lead, it is incredibly difficult to stop them just because they don't make mistakes.
Exactly. Whilst the rest of the field, more or less every one of them made a mistake, he did not. Johnny Brandon there in the lead. And so I think we can bring up right now the final results for race 1.
Yes, and it's Johnny Brandon. He wins out by 3.2 seconds ahead of George McClay. Tony Klusterman rounds out the podium. Pretty good for him. He actually hit the wall on the 3rd to last corner on lap 13, I believe it was. Yeah, the penultimate lap. And he hit the wall on the 3rd to last corner. So it took too much curb on the inside and smashed into it. So unfortunate for the Canadian there, but still a decent result. I'll be 1 place higher on the reverse grid, of course. Chris Jackson finishes in 4th place. He just about held off Victor Tanaka. Hal Stadler rounding up the top 6. Lane O'Connor, fantastic result for him. Started 12th and finished 7th. We didn't pay too much attention to him. That was a really good effort from lane. Nikolai Pogacar finishes in 8th place, Roland Moons in 9th, Richard Warringham in 10th, and Ryan Walker after a late crash in 11th. Sam Buzan finished top of the club drivers. 2nd place in that category was Anthony Woodward, and 3rd place was Clyde Whiting. Behind that was Gary Croft, Andrew Hoffman, Peter Bingham, Jehan An was 2 laps down and won't be eligible for the reverse grid. Bill Switzer was 2 laps down as well, and then Michael Frost and Claire Mason were 7 laps down and 11 laps down respectively. Peter Bingham, by the way, was 1 lap down. Does that mean that he'll be eligible for the reverse grid, Marco?
He will not. Andrew Hoffman, the 16th driver, so 16 drivers will be eligible for the reverse grid wheel, which I think, by the way, should be on your screens right now. Yes, there it is, the wheels, as I should say, and let's roll them. So it is going to be 18 plus 1, which means, hopefully 19. But also Andrew Hoffman gets the pole position for slow motion racing in front of Gary Croft, Clyde Whiting, Anthony Woodward, and Sam Buzin. So basically, the club race will be promoted to the front of the field. So these guys will have, I think, even more fun fighting also at the very front of the field between themselves. And of course, a lot of work for Brandon McLeay, Klusterman, Jackson Tanaka, and all the rest of the top drivers. They will start from the back of a very, very, very competitive field in a very narrow racetrack. So I don't think you guys at home want to miss race 2.
Absolutely not. It should be a fantastic event. 14 minutes in length, and we'll be back with you in about 20 minutes' time. See you then.
up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
Welcome back to the Racetech UV8 Supercar Series live on Apex Racing TV. We are gridding up for race 2 of the evening here at the Belle Circuit in Detroit. I am Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Marco Barbinet once again. And Marco, we saw a very entertaining race 1. Not quite so much at the front of the field. We did see a late move by George McClay after a mistake from Tony Klusman just skimming the wall. But on the most part, the action was going on further down the field. I don't think that's going to be the case in this race too. A full reverse grid, 16 cars reversed, means that we're going to see a lots of overtakes for the lead, and it's difficult to call who's going to come out on top in this one.
Yes, and it's going to be, of course, very tricky for everyone. I'm sure the drivers are getting a bit anxious about this race start, which is only, well, the gridding process at the very least, 2 seconds away. So in just a moment's time, you will see the starting grid on your screen, and of course, the big reverse Andrew Hoffman will be your pole sitter if we made our calculations, right. So just waiting, and there we go.
Oh, we were right?
Yes, we were.
We were right. Awesome. Well, that's fair. I am surprised. Andrew Hoffman, as Marco was saying, on pole position. Gary Croft in second place. Watch out for Gary Croft. Really a great opportunity for a podium for him. Then it's Clyde Whiting on the second row of the grid alongside Anthony Woodward. Then it's Sam Buzan, Ryan Walker, Richard Warmingham, Ronald Means, Nikolai Bogatyrev, Lane O'Connor, Harold Stadler, Victor Tanaka, Chris Jackson, Tony Klusman, George McClay, Race 1 winner Johnny Brandon, then it's Peter Bingham, Jehan and Bill Switzer, and Michael Frost. We've almost got everyone on the grid. Let's need Victor Tanaka to take the grid. Top 5 drivers, by the way, club drivers. And then we've also got Switzer and Frost right at the back. They are club drivers, while everyone else are pro. So then, race 2 at Belle. It's Hoffman on the pole, Croft alongside him, who can get the best starts. Away we go. Great start for Gary Croft. He's straight away going to be in the lead for sure as Hoffman tries to go around the outside. Maybe he will be able to retaliate. That's a fantastic move from him. But I think Croft just getting a better line around the outside. He'll have the inside at the end of this long back straight. So it's Croft leading the way. Hoffman in second place. Whiting remains in third. Good start for Buzan, who's looking to gain even more places going down into turn 3. As Whiting now makes up a place, can Buzan go through past Hoffman as well, who is quickly falling down the order as we speak. Now down into fourth place as Hoffman is really getting quite chaotic just behind him with 3 wide some way down the field. Good start for Warmingham up a couple of places. Good start for Bogatyrev and Stadler and Jackson. Jackson up 4 places. That's just the start that the Never Quit Racing driver needed as they start to file into single files. They go down this next straight for the first time in this 40-minute race.
Yeah, terrible start from Ryan Walker, unfortunately. Dropped 6 places down to 12th. Don't know if there was any contact or not. So, oh, careful there. I always hate this corner on the first lap, both as a driver and as a commentator, because that's where drama happens. You really are always surprised. At least I am always surprised. Oh, the 2 teammates!
Oh, they never quit racing.
They touched in race 1, mind you, and they touched again in race 2, Jackson and Tanaka. And Jackson is, I don't know how, back on the track after, going on 2 wheels and with a bit of a scratch on his left side. He should be okay and able to get the fast repair when he gets into the pits, if he, at the mandatory pit stop. Well, not mandatory, at the recommended pit stop. When that happens, that was, a bit of a crazy moment there, and I'm surprised that no one else was involved.
Whiting versus Buzan. Buzan won a race at Watkins Glen. It's not looking out of the question for him to perhaps take another one. He's up in second place, up 3 places from his starts. Warmingham chomping at the heel now. Good from Hoffman actually staying 5th place. That was a good second half of the first lap for him. This is what happened to Jackson and Tanaka. So Jackson looking to get past Bogatyrev, goes around the outside and makes a little bit of netcode contact. And surely they're not going to make more netcode contact around this part of the circuit now. That was, I think, legit to be fair. And Tanaka, I think that's a racing incident, both of which could have left a bit more room, considering that they are teammates. But there we are. Tanaka playing himself into a bigger place, up into 9th, as we see a change of plate.
Oh!
Fox dive into the wall, and McClay into the wall. 2nd place in the championship, and that's
Ryan
a big
Walker.
change as Walker has another spin, just as it looks as though it was getting positive for him, but he's had a spin now as well. And that is a big change for George McClay. How much damage
something
does
happened to Ronald Moons. There we go, and that started a chain reaction. There's one, and now we should see Walker up on the curb and only spin, so he was very lucky. You know, he tried to take evasive action there as Gary Croft at the front is flying away from the scrambling pack behind him in this 40-minute race and setting the fastest lap of them all. As now we have, oh well, let's bring on the battle box while we are at it. As we can see drivers moving left and right, the 3 NQR drivers, Tanaka, Jackson, 4 of them, Woodward and Klusterman, all trying to slot in a good position, and that is the number 707, speaking of planes, of Victor Tanaka, going on 2 wheels there. Not as big as of airtime as his teammate had, Chris Jackson. And so Klusterman 4 places gained and trying now to get closer to his trio of NQR teammates. As back at the front, it's now Whiting defending from Richard Wormingham as Brandon goes past Moons.
Ooh, that was a vicious move. I saw him get ahead, and I didn't realise he was on the outside for that corner. Good job from Moons there, not to overshoot as he did on the last lap. Otherwise, that would have been quite disastrous. A little bit of an underwhelming start for Brandon. I don't want to be too harsh on him, but just slowly going up the order. He is only about 4 seconds off the podium places, so not to get too worried. I think Hoffman's dropping down some more pace, so he's just been pushed off the line there, did Hoffman. Had a couple of good laps, to be fair, to stay in 5th place for as long as he did. But now a few drivers really getting past him. Chris Jackson, the next down, is inside. Hoffman fighting it back though, and squeezing his rival going into turn 1, the pole sitter. Now Never Quit Racing driver is going to get past is that Klusterman. No, it's Woodward, and then it will be Klusterman, and then it will be Brandon, as Victor Tanaka trying to get past Howard Sadler a little bit further up. Here comes Woodward, he will get past, and now Klusterman will might just sneak past as well. Needs to be careful here, does Klusterman. Didn't really have any of his car alongside. He needs to be careful as well.
Oh, this can be disastrous.
Into the wall, and now there's going to be Tanaka into the wall as well. And we've got Hoffman in the wall, and Anthony Woodward will get past. Tony Klusterman might get past as well, though he needs to be very careful. Whiting with his engine blown and with a lot of staying damage. If he can just get back to the pits, he'll be able to get a fast repair. But that's a great shame for him, and a great shame as well for Victor Tanaka, who really had a shot at the win.
Yeah, I caught that very, you know, with the back of my eye, basically sideways there. Saves the car. Then that is Wormingham, I think. They will make contact here. 2 wheels straight, and this is what destroys his engine and destroys Victor Tanaka's car, unfortunately. Let's go on board with the American driver as he's following closely Harald Stadler in front of him here. And basically no idea what's going on. Bang, straight into Whiting's car, and that's all she wrote, sadly, for Tanaka, a driver we always love to have on board. And also, of course, Clyde Whiting is trying to get back to the pits. I would give him, if this was real life, I would go onto the track and jump on his car to stop him, because that is all the oil that the marshals will have to remove. And I can tell you what, it's not oh, Woodward. Oh no!
Oh, and Moons got in as well. Oh, Woodward needs to get out of the circuit. He's rolling either way. They're making evasive action. He doesn't want to take back to the pits, even though it might be the best thing to do. Now he gets out of the way, does Woodward. Boy, he did the best thing there, just staying stable. This is what happens. Klusterman was behind him. Don't tell me that these two have crashed into each other. We've already seen 2 NQR drivers. No, it's by himself.
Then he backed into the traffic, which is not a good idea.
Yeah, and Anne getting past. And Anne is up 9 places. He's up more places than anyone else.
Yes, so I wanted to see a good Yeah, I wanted to see a good race from him because, I mean, in practice and qualifying, he was decently quick for being, you know, a newcomer to the series. We know how tough it is, and of course, I was talking about him in the previous race. He's a driver from South Korea, so not the traditional market of this championship, and of course, he's sporting a very good national flag team livery, and he's driving a Ford, so. I want to see more of him, and hopefully he can keep his car in one piece. Oh, that corner always scares me. As now Arastelder attacking Sambuzin.
This for third place. Stadler down the inside. Done and dusted. It's looking like a fantastic race coming up. We've got everyone where you kind of want them to be honest. We've got Gatecroft leading the way, setting some decent times this car, but Richard Warmingham is the man on the move. He just set the fastest lap of the race at Warmingham. He was 1.5 seconds faster than the race leader, only driving 31s on that last lap. And he's in second place, 4 seconds off the lead. It's Stadler a further 2 seconds back, driving decently. Jackson's just got past Buzan ahead of us. You can just see that battle going on, in fact. The Nevercook racing driver getting past the Asia racing driver. And then we've got these two, who are perhaps the two favourites for this race. Klusman and Brandon. McClay only 2 seconds behind as well. Compared to George McClay, he got pummeled into the wall earlier on, or had to drive into the wall whilst avoiding another driver earlier on. And he's still very much in the mix, and a good pit stop for him could work out nicely. So this is, I mean, Marco, you couldn't write a better script for this race. I mean, I don't think we could put these cars in a better place in order to produce what could be a fantastic next half an hour of this event.
Yes, absolutely. The table is set beautifully for us. Now it's up to the drivers, of course. Only 2 retirees so far, Bill Switzer and Victor Tanaka. I think that Whiting is back on track. Yes, he is. As Bogatairev goes in, and remember, you have to take a pit stop, even though I think there is some important bits of the car missing on Bogatairev's Ford. So that is not a scheduled stop.
No. But he might get to the end of the race from here. Very low fuel consumption circuit. Oh, Buzan in the wall! And it was a podium. At least he was running in the podium places. Probably wasn't going to happen, as good camera work there from Marco to see his rear view. And he drops down a few places. Fortunately, not too much damage on that car, at least. He's down into 10th place, second place, also third place out of the club drivers.
You know, since I got my new car last year, last August, well, it was 2018, of course, and it has, you know, a rear view camera when you go into reverse. So I always love to see, when I know a driver is about to reverse, I always imagine myself, and you cannot imagine how much easier does it make, especially in a city like mine, where you usually park in very tight spots. So let's say, because it's a very, very overcrowded city, Roma. It's very nice to have the aid of. I asked my mechanic if I could have it always on, just like a GT at Le Mans, to have to see the rear view camera. Like a car at Le Mans, they have but. No, it will destroy the battery very quickly, so...
Disappointing. I mean, I'm sure you could make some kind of makeshift GoPro camera on the back. Was it a Ford?
No, I drive a Toyota.
Okay. Of course, Marco is slightly biased in this series, as probably everyone knows, with the Ford. Not sure what car Gatecroft is driving, but whichever way it's going for him, it's pretty good. Richard Warming, though. I mean, just a little bit of the opposite of an omen. Can't remember what it's called. A shooting star? Oh no. But yeah, the last time Richard Warming got a podium in the series, I believe, was a third place at Belle 2 seasons ago. So I don't know if that's some kind of precursor to doing well once again, but he likes this place, does Warming. He's always there or thereabouts, and around this place, he can have a few crashes and he can take advantage of them. and a race win is looking possible for him, and he's never got a race win in this series before. So neither has Guy Croft, and Hal Solo only got one at Watkins Glen, so it's fantastic to see some new guys up there. Also, Chris Jackson's only ever really won at Phillip Island and Lime Rock, so, you know, there's a lot of opportunities for some big wins for drivers today. Brian Walker comes into the pits, so you'd imagine the pits, you can pit and get to the end of the race from here, because Walker's car didn't look too bad, but I think he just wanted some clear air to maybe jump the cars ahead.
I think omen is used both as a good and a bad thing, so you can use that.
Okay.
You know, if matter of fact in English you say good omen and bad omen. You know, so to illustrate. And of course, it comes from Latin. You know, the language from which Italian was born. So. And Latin is full of so-called vox media, which means words that can be used both in a good and a bad way, depending on which word you put in front of it. So, yeah.
Right, okay. Did you learn Latin?
Sadly, I had to a school, yes, in high school.
Right.
And
So
ancient Greek.
Has it helped you learn other languages?
No.
No, okay.
Latin was the easy one. We also had to learn ancient Greek, you know. That was the tough one. Which, by the way, you might say, it will help you with modern day Greek. No, it's basically two completely different languages. Brandon is pushing hard. Fastest lap of the race. Only basically 1/10 faster than Klusterman, so they are both pushing super hard. They are almost giving each other the draft, and trying to close in on the leaders. Speaking of which, Birmingham, I think, is now knocking on the doors of first place. NQR versus XVR, a classic battle of this series. In all the years, these teams have fought against each other countless times with countless drivers, and we are about to have a new chapter of this rivalry here for the lead with almost half of the race gone.
If Warmian wants to win this race, and I'm sure he does, he really needs to get the move done. Right here, he's got about a second a lap on his rival. Often it's said you need 1.5 seconds a lap to get round a place like this. That's what the drivers usually say. It's kind of more just down to taking advantage of the driver ahead's mistakes, rather than the actual time that you need. I mean, we've seen other drivers overtake with half a second, but just extremely good at following the car ahead. We saw a classic battle between Carl Janssen and another driver as well, who's Mark Fletcher, of course. Mark Fletcher versus Carl Janssen. Ran this circuit in the World GT recently. Fantastic battle of that. And Janssen just absolutely stayed nose to tail with him for about 10 minutes and eventually got half a chance and took it. But that's what Warmian has got to do. He's just got to be relentless and not give the race leader any moment to breathe. Here he goes, down the inside into turn 3. He gets squeezed on the inside. That's going to be a slowdown. And Croft hangs on to the lead. And that was as Jackson loses the position to Klusterman. Now, that might be a tactical swap, or that might be a legit overtake, but that's very important, and Klusterman up into 4th place. He can set his sights instead.
Yes, let's see. Didn't notice that they were so close to Jackson, and here we go. Klusterman goes in, and Brandon almost goes around, but still cannot make the move. And this is very important in race-wise, because Brandon now will have a very, very tough opponent. Jackson doesn't like getting overtaken, so this might be a very, very good strategy play from the NQR guys.
Of course, if they really wanted to, Jackson could hold up Brandon to help Klusterman's chances, but I think that's putting a few too many eggs in too few baskets, to be honest, because they've got 3 horses at the moment at the races, and each one of them has a decent chance at winning, with Croft, Klusterman and Jackson all in there. McClay, by the way, 6.5 seconds behind Brandon, so that damage really affecting good. It's a shame that he could have really been in the fights for a race win, certainly a podium, but you can see how he's just a bit adrift. I'm sure he'll come into the pits as soon as possible to get that damage fixed, but yeah, he's losing about a second a lap to the drivers that he really ought to be fighting. Here is Jackson versus Oh, contact between Brandon and Jackson. Brandon's got the inside for the next corner. Now, can Jackson fend him off? Yes, he can. And I'm not quite sure how to judge that one, to be honest, because Brandon wanted to take the corner, but Jackson wanted to hesitate with his turn in.
Yeah, and you know, other drivers might have ended this in tears. These two are still fighting hard, and here we go again in this very tough right-hander, toughest corner of the track, if you ask me.
Well, this one certainly is the absolute toughest. As Jackson on the inside, Brandon round the outside. This is going to be a superb move if he can pull it off. Almost going into the wall. Jackson will try to shove him off. Jackson's in the wall. He really wants to hold back Brandon, but Brandon was just too confident on the outside for the corner previously. Now, does he have a bit of damage? He's certainly got some parts missing on his car as well. Moons has a spin further down the order. Hopefully Brandon hasn't picked up any steering damage there, and hopefully Jackson hasn't either. They can come into the pits if they so wish, but they're not.
You know, if you ask me...
Oh, that's heavy in the wall for Warmingham. That's surely got to be Warmingham's race over.
What is today with replays and people crashing?
How much is he struggling? Well, he's certainly losing a lot of time to play.
And of course, the event viewer sadly didn't get it, because, you know, usually when you crash in other places, you go off the track. Here it's a bit different. You don't, so...
Yeah.
As Jackson passed Brandon. Oh!
Oh, Brandon's engine's gone.
What's going on here?
And as the championship leader blows his engine, the second place man in the championship moves ahead of him. Dramatic scenes here as Johnny Brandon. Is this a self-mistake? He maybe had a bit of damage previously anyway, but he goes in too hot. Oh, he just dips the smallest portion of his tyre onto the grass and slams into the wall, blows the engine. Fortunately for Brandon, he's still running in 7th place. He might still get a top 10 result out of this because he'll be able to pick up a fast repair as long as he can get that car back to the pit lane. Loses a place to Anne, who's having a terrific run up in the top zone. Could get a top 5 from this if we continue to see the carnage pursuing, as Warmingham inevitably comes into the pits after that big hit with the wall earlier on in the lap. Quite an eventful lap, that, Marco.
Well, absolutely an eventful lap. You know, for a second I thought that Jackson had come back at Brandon, and they had a coming together of sorts, but no, that was not the case. Self-mistake, and here comes Brandon. Can't get into the pits, so at least he can get you know, the best out of a very bad situation, in that he can pit and then basically split his race in half, get that fast repair in, doesn't change the tires. Did he put in enough fuel? Because he went in and out there.
3.62 seconds. Surely
Let's
can't
see
get... That was no fuel.
No, there was no fuel. No. The other stops are in the 9, 10, 11 seconds region. Warmingham had a 6-second stop, but he stopped, you know, a few laps ago, so closer to us. So, you know, you need. So yeah, I'm maybe in the heat of the moment. Johnny forgot to add his fuel.
Apparently, according to Tony Klusman, we usually read this, but for some sort of reason we didn't this week. Belle, the feature can be done without stopping. So,
but you know, when you are at it, you know that you could, you know, instead of being very tight on fuel, you could put, you know, just a little splash, which maybe he did. Let's be fair. With 2 point something seconds, 3 seconds, you can get a splash in. Now that I think about it, 3.62. Yeah, I mean, forgot I said anything.
I mean, yeah, he could have made it more simple for himself, but maybe he's got enough in hand anyway. He's in 10th place, so not that bad for Johnny Bennett, but he has used that fast repair, so he cannot afford another crash. That would be really disastrous for him. But for George McClay, up in 5th place, looking really good for Yehan An, once again. 6th place now for him, with Warmingham to come into the pits. So I think these drivers who have come into the pits for repairs I don't think they plan to come into the pits, but they're trying to make the best of a bad situation, as you were saying earlier on, Marco. Add a little bit of fuel, perhaps, and certainly Wong had 5.88 seconds during his pit stop, so probably put in a little bit of fuel there. So, how many drivers can still win this race? Because a lot of them have crashed. Croft, still leading. He's 1 second ahead of Stadler. He's slowly caught that gap, but Stadler's not got much of a pace advantage, maybe about 0.7 of a second a lap. Kloosterman, another probably half a second a lap faster than Stadler, and he's catching up. Jackson 10 seconds behind with damage and struggling to match these. Well, he is matching Gary Croft on times, but he's not going to catch them anytime soon. And then we've got George McPacey, who's also got damage. He's doing the same lap times as Jackson. So, I mean, apart from the top three, pretty much everyone has either pitted for repairs or has got damage out here.
Yes, absolutely, Sam. You are right. It's been an elimination race. Here comes Anne into the pits. And he is taking tires. You know, the inexperience of the driver, you know. But he's going to have a lot of fun when he comes out of the pits, because he's going to be, you know, have a lot of grip. So
yes.
That's for sure.
Oh,
and I mean,
yes, 17.28 seconds. It's pretty quick in this car, isn't it?
So he should be out behind Bokatayev and in front, or maybe behind Ryan Walker. Let's see. He's behind Walker, so let's see. But I say let's go back to the front, because these three guys have 15 minutes to sort themselves out. 2 NQR drivers, one in a Ford and one in the Holden, and of course a Texan Fitstime Motorsport driver in Harald Stadler, and he is certainly looking forward to this finish and try to best his 2 NQR rivals as they go for another lap. And lap 16 is starting right now, or lap 17 should I add, as the sun, you can see from these beautiful camera shots designed by Sam Fitzpatrick, is going down and down. Sadly, we won't see the headlights on. A side note, it's very scary to see the Petit Le Mans feeds around the internet with no lights apart from the cars. I thought they could have done something before the enduro race in iRacing, as they did for the Nordschleife, but that's okay.
Oh, is there no lights?
No.
Oh wow. I mean, yeah. I mean, come on, iRacing. Need to have night lighting for more of these circuits, particularly Road Atlanta. Gob takes a slightly unusual line, as you've probably just seen on the broadcast, into that corner, very much trying to straighten up the braking zone, which is very understandable. And I mean, he's done remarkably well so far. I guess the good news for Croft, if there is any silver lining to have 2 very quick drivers chasing you down, is that he's been pretty much chased down and followed for the entire race. So it's not as though they've suddenly caught up to him and now he's got to change his driving style. He knows how to drive in this situation, and he's coped really well so far. And this would be his first ever win in this series. Like I said earlier on, Stadler, 1 race win in this series. Tim Kloosterman about 28. So he's probably the most competent in this situation, but he'd be hard pushed to say that he's the outright favourite at this point, because top 2 are still striving without faults, and they're all pretty much even on pace. And also, Tony was saying before how you don't have to make a pit stop, but the tyres could be an issue. So if one of these 3 drivers is driving a little bit too hard or driving particularly softly, it could really change the outcome of this event. Johnny Brandon moves ahead of Sam Buzan. Very generous there from Buzan, thinking best. He was in the wall earlier on, so he's done a decent job in 9th place. Brandon will now try to catch up to his teammate Lane O'Connor for 7th place. That might be as far up as Brandon ends up in this race. He is the fastest man on track though.
You know, speaking of the weather and the tires, these drivers have a little bit of a lucky break, of course, being now 8 p.m. Almost 10 minutes past 8 here in the in-sim time. You can see that the wind has slowed down a bit. In race 1 it was like 30 kilometers per hour. Now it's only 18, still a bit. But most importantly for these guys, track temp only 26 degrees Celsius. So it's tough track for tires, but they should be okay. At least it's not like, yesterday we were racing around Sonoma in the IndyCar series, and I remember when we had the round in Sonoma with the Euro V8s and the drivers, morning, the super sprint it was, so you had morning, afternoon, and late afternoon, no matter when. Drivers after the broadcast, I remember they were almost to the point of tears, talking about the tires and how they were going away.
Oh, here comes Klisterman. This could be a big move. Stadler tries to fend him off, almost accidentally overtakes the race leader as well. And Klisterman again going for a move, but into turn 4 is very difficult to do. But that's how on his toes how Stadler's got to be. He can't just be looking ahead. He's got to constantly be aware of what's going behind him. Klisterman again having half, I think. Stadler had enough. But, yeah, as this race goes on, should become a bit easier for Stadler. I say that, tires degrading. But, I mean, he should wisen up to these attacks from Tony Klisterman.
In the fountain section, once again, which I haven't called the fountain section for the entire broadcast, which really surprises me because I love saying that. Even also because the fountain is nowhere near this place. It's at the place where you can see the fountain when you're driving. I think that's the way. That's why it's called it like this. As they go into the final right-handers, final couple of right-handers. A lot of right-handers around this racetrack.
That's hit with the wall.
Did he ruin his steering, did Tony? Let's see.
I think he's okay. And of course, if you affect your straight line speed around this place, not too bad. I mean, I don't see any damage there. So, just a graze. I mean, if you're not skimming the walls, you're not pushing hard enough.
That's a very good thing to say, even though he's missing now a bit of his car, but,
Yeah, I mean, shedding the weight, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, those are parts of the car you really don't need around here,
Yeah.
It's like, losing parts of your car when you race with the NASCARs at Bristol or other places. You get, better cooling for your engine, they say, so you don't need them.
Yeah, of course. By the way, do the fountain section. If you try to use TV2, you might just see the fountain on one of the camera shots. So, might want to try that. I've really bigged this up here. I mean, the fountain isn't totally spectacular, but you should see it in a moment or two.
Oh, look at that!
Good old fountain. I'm also hoping that we'll see the boats, or one of the boats down the river at some point, because they've added that. Me and Marco noticed that earlier on. There's a big old boats in the background sometimes, which is like, and I've got the lowest graphics settings and it's still on. Clearly it's an integral part of the race circuit, according to iRacing, that they had to add it. No, absolutely fantastic that iRacing have got big old boats now in Detroit. It certainly feels much more like the real thing.
9 minutes left, a little bit less than that to be precise. And still nothing changes between the top 3. It's Gary Croft looking for the second club driver win, in 2 weeks. And behind him, 2 very, very, very good overall pro drivers. Of course, Alan Stadler, who's a relative newcomer to the series, even though he's got 2 seasons, basically 1.5 seasons under his belt right now. And of course, the only double champion in series history, it's Tony Klisterman driving for NQR Holden, and certainly... Oh! Hopefully that was just lag and not, a momentary lapse of concentration for Harald. His car seems to be okay on the left side. He's got some damage on the right side, but I'm interested in his left side. Seems to be okay, so I think that was not real damage, or... Oh, you never know on this track. You really never know. Especially when we have a driver from Austria, a driver from Canada, and a Gary Croft, of course, a driver from the United Kingdom. With us. Sorry, from. I'm very much apologetic for what I just said.
Oh, that's it.
I
Well,
mean,
that's a
that
bit.
was
Come
the
on,
driver,
it's the 21st century.
yeah, driver
Can't
from
be making
Australia.
jokes like that.
Driver from Australia,
That's it.
Gary Croft.
I mean, yeah, all corners of the world's represented. Okay, close between Yehan An and Ryan Walker. I mean, there you go. They're very close. This is the battle for 12th and 13th. So I don't know what, of course, An took tires, didn't he? Still trying to hold
Yes.
off Ryan Walker, who is, I mean, he's our co-commentator, so we are slightly biased towards Ryan. But he's done really well in this car, I'd say. Considering that he hasn't got too much experience in it, he's jumped into it and had a good race at Watkins Glen. He's doing well today as well. Really looking very strong out there. So well
Speaking
done to
of
Ryan.
Australia,
13.
Gary Croft disappearing for a second. As once again this beautiful shot of both the fountain and the river, but still a lot of modern day boats, but no steamboat in the background.
Oh, Klosterman, you cannot get closer than this. Sadler's got to get a good exit, and Klosterman just running out of room, doesn't want to skim that wall like he did earlier on. I wonder how Sadler would take as a good result at this point. Would second place be a good result, or is it still just down to the win, or would a podium be a good result? I mean, it's not the end of the world if he falls behind Tony Klosterman. They got 15 seconds to the next car, Chris Jackson, who is getting caught by George McClay and Richard Warmium. That could be a very good battle, actually. Very similar to this, where you've got the slowest driver at the front and then the fastest driver at the back. Actually, that situation is replicating itself in that Jackson-McClay Warmium battle, with Grandin also catching up to them, admittedly 20 seconds behind.
Yeah, McClay, of course, finally getting his fast repair done. Or not. No, sorry.
Didn't.
Giving out false information as per usual. As once again, we go through the beautiful fountain section with Croft leading the way and only 5 minutes away from an historical race win. Hopefully we don't jinx him.
Oh wow. Hoffman. I don't think Croft made contact with him, but he was really close, as were Sadler and Klosterman. Has Hoffman got back going? This is what happened to Hoffman. So he's looks up a little bit there, maybe just overheating those tyres a little bit. And then round here, just struggling with the power delivery. And then reverses onto the racing line. And thankfully, he did not move forwards again whilst the three leaders were moving ahead. And I mean, if that had happened, Marco, I think he would have been put in jail for curses there. He would have been burnt at the stake.
That was a Mario Kart moment, you know, you are leading and then all of a sudden surprises start coming your way. And not good surprises, usually. Mamma mia! Sorry, I had to do it.
You're allowed to. You're from that country, so if I said that, then again, I would be put in jail.
It would be perfectly okay with me, so no worries. Ryan Walker says it all the time when we do broadcast together, so.
Yes.
Okay, back to the action and back to this fantastic fight then, as they are moving left and right on the back. So here comes
Here we go.
Stadler.
Stadler's standing
Desperate
inside.
lunge.
Is it going to be a change for the lead? Stadler's almost round. Can Klosterman take advantage of it? That was out of nowhere. I don't know if the Austrian has been lining that up for the past half an hour, but when he tried it, it almost worked.
Yeah, that was. At first I thought that was going to end up in tears, and then I said he may be doing it, you know. And then it was a bit too much. Good driving from both of them. They avoid any serious consequences. Stadler keeps second. No, sorry, Croft keeps first place. Stadler, for a second, was also under threat from Klosterman, but he was able to keep his position. Another lap goes in the books. Another lap starts. Lap 25. Not long left. Look how every time Tony really shaves the inside of that corner, cutting through the grass and making the groundskeeper very unhappy, I would say.
Yes. Here comes Klisterman. If he's going to win this race, he's got to make some moves now. I was just looking at the race wins of all time. Oh, wow, that's a lot of curve for Klisterman. Klisterman's got 29. Brandon's got 27. And that is a little bit of a thing that I've been keeping an eye on through this season because, I mean, it's kind of the GOAT, the greatest of all time in this series. Of course, Klisterman has got 2 titles compared to Brandon's 1, but certainly for complete pride, I mean, it doesn't really mean anything, the amount of race wins you get. But for complete pride, I imagine Klisterman would quite like to add another one to put a little bit of distance between him and his rival. Again, Sadler really likes that corner. And Croft, maybe with that line, is leaving himself a little bit vulnerable. I'm not quite sure. But he certainly needs to keep it in his mind. And if he felt a little bit comfortable before, he's certainly not feeling comfortable now because all the attacks are coming his way. We've got a terrific battle between Jackson, McClay and Warmian right now. I mean, the 3 of them separated by, well, look at that. I don't need to tell you that it's separated by half a second currently. Jackson, certainly the slowest out of these guys, but I'm sure Warmian could get past Jackson, but unfortunately McClay's in his way, and McClay's not too slow himself.
Michael Frost with a big issue. As Croft sideways coming out of turn 2, but I think Stadler will not be able to profit from this small mistake as we are entering, I think, the last lap of the race.
Yeah, it's going to be... Oh, no, sorry, yeah, last lap of the race. Yeah, they got 40 seconds, so yeah, this is very fortunate for Gary Croft because we're just about going to miss an extra lap. Certainly not looking very good for Tony Klisterman to take his 30th race win in the Euro V8 SuperCar Series. But it's looking terrific for Guy Croft to take his first ever win in the Euro V8 SuperCar Series. As Stadler, will he have one more go? Here he goes, down the inside. Is there going to be contact? Oh, he cuts the corner. Surely it's going to be a slowdown for Stadler. Is he going to have to give up the pace against Klisterman? Klisterman tries to go past. He's up into second place. Surely it's Klisterman. Here he goes. McClay will try to hang it round the outside. Surely he's got some more slowdown to serve. Will he pop his car down the inside? There's contact between the 2 of them. And Klisterman's going to have to reverse out of that one. Sadler stays in second place. Klisterman rounded out the podium. We're out in the lead. Gary Croft. We had 2 first-time winners at Watkins Glen 2 weeks ago. We're going to have another one here. Gary Croft approaches the final line, the checker flag, and he wins race 2 at Belle Isle. Congratulations to Gary Croft. It's been a long time coming for that race win. He's finally achieved it, and that is a monumental victory under the most intense pressure from behind. He deserves that one, absolutely. Congratulations to him once again. He loses his club status for next season. He won't care one bit about that. And for the second time in 2 rounds, we see a club driver finishing top of everyone. But this, Marco, even more impressive, a 40-minute race.
Yes, you stole the words out of my mouth, basically. It was just about not to take anything away, because I would give away 1 kidney to win a super sprint race in this. But that was out of all that was very unexpected. Not for Gary, because we know, like you said, it's been a long time coming. But certainly, it has been a surprising place to get it. I mean, yes, tough to pass around here, but 40 minutes, it's a long time to hold on the massive pressure as we have a fight for 13th and 12th place, and Anne is getting it. So Anne was passed by Walker at the very end of the race, I think, and then he crashed or something. Yeah,
Anne had a very slow final lap. He was about 11 seconds slower in that final lap than normal. Ryan Walker's had his own crash, although he fortunately into the tie wall, and I mean, he carries on games. Yeah, nothing happened. I saw that.
No, but Anne was good, so he was overtaken by Walker. His car was still fine, and it didn't look like that when he came to the start-finish line, so he must have crashed somewhere where we sadly don't have any pictures of it. But something that we have is the final results from race 2, and they should be on your screen right now.
Yes, and it is a first-time win for Guy Crofts. Started second, finished third. He led from start to finish. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at it that way, it was a comfortable win. Anything but, and actually a 4-second lead as well. Looks quite comfortable. But it was anything but terrific resistance from Guy Croft for the entire 40-minute race. Congratulations to him once again. Harold Stadler finishes in second place. Had to defend pretty hard from Tony Kliesman. Sure, there'll be some choice words at the end, but in the end, they both finished on the podium. It didn't make that much of a difference in second and third. Jackson finishes in fourth place. Really good driving from Jackson because he had damage. But once again, another race where you think maybe it could have been a little bit better for him. George McClay, a lot of damage on his car as well. Through no fault of his own. Could have been a race win for him. Finishes in fifth. It could have been a race win for Richard Warming. He was running in second place, chasing down Gaycroft. Fantastic pace. But he hit the wall and had to pit an extra time. Finishes in sixth. Johnny Brandon blew an engine, only 34 seconds off the lead. There you go, seventh place. Good recovery for the championship leader. Lane O'Connor finishes in eighth place. Really good day for him, a sixth and an eighth. Nikolai Bogotayev in ninth. Sam Buzan finished in 10th. Then was Ryan Walker, Yehan An, Ronald Means, Peter Bingham, Clyde Whiting, Andrew Hoffman. Michael Frost was 2 laps down, and then the proper retirees were Bill Switzer, 16 laps down, Anthony Woodward, 18 laps down, and Victor Tanaka. About a while ago, it was 22 laps down, was Tanaka. He had a chance at the race win. I mean, I think half the field could have won that race, and but Gary Croft was the one who didn't make a mistake. Admittedly, didn't get caught up in any other mistakes as well. It was a great drive from him. Hopefully we'll have it in a second as we commence the interviews. And so far we haven't got him with us, but we do have a few other drives. I think we'll have a chat first with race 1 winner, Johnny Brandon. Johnny, congratulations out there. First off, race 1. It was looking pretty simple for you. Great pole position lap time, just ahead of George McClay. And then pretty much led from start to finish. You must have been really pleased with that.
Yeah, evening, Sam. And Marco. Yeah, race 1 went nicely. Was just trying to keep it out of the wall, get the bonus points, you know. Very difficult to overtake around here. So unless I made a mistake, I knew I had good traction. So it was very hard. It was going to be very difficult for Tony to get past. So yeah, race 1 was good.
And then race 2, where I think there's a few more talking points, is you had an incident with the wall. I'm just trying to suddenly think back to what occurred with you because there are so many incidents out there. But you picked up a little bit of damage previously. Yeah, it's just coming back. You picked up a bit of damage previously, didn't you? And then you hit the wall again at the end of the back straight.
Yeah, so I had damage on the rear of the car from lap 1. Somebody, I think one of the new chaps, ran into the back of me twice, and it felt like it bent the rear wheel or something because the rear was just so loose after that. So we're struggling with that anyway. And then obviously tried to get past one of the NQR cars, and they pretty much decided I wasn't going without a massive fight, turned in, give me more damage. And that was it. The car was just super unstable then, and I dropped it 2 corners later, put it in the wall. So a bit disappointing, but yeah, a bit surprising, to be honest. Some of the drivers, yeah, I don't want to say too much. It's generally a good league, but not just things that happened to me, but other things I saw didn't look great in that one. But hey ho, it's fun driving the car.
Definitely. And just how marginal was it on fuel out there? Did you take any fuel at your pit stop? It seemed very quick.
No, I just went in for the fast repair, so the fuel wasn't an issue in that one. The pace was so slow. I mean, for the first, I damaged, like I said, for the first 10, 15 laps, whatever it was, behind Tony. It just rolling and coasting everywhere. The you couldn't go fast because there's such variation in pace between the guys. We had a bit of clear track, it was all right, but the fuel wasn't an issue, and the tyres didn't seem to be an issue. So it was, yeah, they're a bit short this season for me, unfortunately, these race twos, but it's the same for everyone.
But in the championship, not too bad a day considering that you blew up an engine and had a couple of contacts with the wall. You've only lost, I mean, a handful of points to George McClay. You'll still be
I
leading
don't
coming
think
out
I've
of
even
this.
lost the points to George tonight. I got the
Yeah.
bonus points in race 1. I think I was one of the only ones to do that. Well, I was at the top 4 or 5 guys. I think I might have lost like 5 points to him tonight because of what happened in the second race. I think that's about it. I think I finished 2 places behind, so 20 points in the second race. I was about 15 ahead in the first, I think. So pretty close, but yeah, I mean, I'm not that bothered about the championship, if I'm being honest. It's nice to win it at the end. I just want good, clean, fair racing, and normally you get it in there, but yeah, we'll see. On to the next one.
Yes, certainly. Best of luck for that race. Johnny, is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
You guys for doing the broadcast. I'm sure it's great. I'll go and watch it. Start shouting at the screen. Everyone in XPR, Simmortal, Racetech, Virtual Racing Association, yeah, and everyone that runs the league. Cheers, guys. See you the next time.
Thanks, Johnny, and best of luck in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers, Sam.
So, that's one interview down. That was Johnny Brandon for XPR Sim Racing. Marco, who do you want to have a chat with now?
Let's have a chat with Ryan Walker. Why not? Hello,
go,
Ryan, who has been rudely interrupted as per tradition.
No problem.
So, Ryan, what about your evening? Race 1, of course, it was very enjoyable for you. Then you had that contact in the end with Nikolai. And then race 2 was, you had, I think, in the end, a long fight with the newcomer Giant Han. How was it in the end, the experience?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad this evening. It's probably the most comfortable that I felt with the V8, as I was saying to Tony. Yeah, I'm starting to get more comfortable with the V8 and slowly find more pace. But yeah, I finished both races around the Belle Isle, which is a notorious track for for biting you if you make a mistake. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the evening and managed to finish both races. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Are you getting, more and more confident with the car as the rounds go on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as the season starts to go on and come to a finish, or just the more races I do with the V8, the more comfortable I'm getting, and the more experience I'm getting as well. So yeah, it's definitely getting more comfortable, and I think yeah, the practice sessions that they run during the week are helping as well. So, and also the guys up at the front that are helping out and they gave setup advice and driving advice as well have definitely helped. So yeah, I have to give a big thanks to them.
And not long left until the end of the season. We actually have 4 meetings left. The next one in 2 weeks is going to be a traditional sprint and feature double header in Zandvoort, another track where it will be very tough to overtake.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure I'll be able to make Zandvoort because I've got a 12-hour race on the same day. On the same day as well. So I'm not 100% sure. Actually, let me check the date. Yeah, I won't be able to make it, unfortunately, but I should be back for the next round, which is the awesome Mount Panorama. That is Bathurst. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that, with it being an endurance race.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you very much for joining us in the booth. And before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just the team at Torque Feet Racing, and also the people behind the scenes on the Euro V8 League who put on the show. Deeply appreciated, and also you and Sam for putting on the broadcast and doing an awesome job as always.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ryan. We will catch you in in the next few days, apparently. have a good night.
Thanks, Marco.
So that was Ryan Walker, of course, I believe representing Talk Freak Racing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know who we're going to have a chat with next. It's the man of the moment. It is Guy Croft, winner of race 2 here at Belle. Guy, congratulations. I mean, you've been in this series for a couple of seasons, even longer than that, I think. And to get your first ever race win in such testing conditions, I mean, congratulations. It's just a terrific achievement.
Hey, thanks, guys. That's I really appreciate that. Yeah, been putting in a fair bit of hard work, you might say, and some frustrations, but you know, you got to chip away. And this track, my race 1 was a good example of how the opposite end of the spectrum can be.
And but in that race too, I mean, the start was absolutely superb, and then you had Richard Warmium chasing you down in those early stages, but you didn't seem to really make any mistakes when you had those drivers behind you. Did you feel the pressure too much? Did they ever get too close to overtaking you?
No, I felt very confident with the car, to be honest. It just clicked, and I spent the first few, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 laps really on the fuel save mode, and then I thought, hello, here comes Rich. So I better get cracking a bit, and yeah, he put a bit of pressure on, and then Harold was coming at me. So I was pretty lucky, I think, that Harold and Tony were having a battle there and gave me a bit of breathing space.
Yes, definitely. And how were the tyres near the end? We heard that the tyres might be a bit of an issue towards the end of the race. How were they for you?
Oh, mine were fantastic. I had plenty left, to be honest. I think those early laps, fuel saving, helped with the tyre life, not putting too much into them at the beginning of the race.
And in the championship, I mean, you must be doing quite well in the club championship at this point. Is that your big aim for the season to win that championship?
Well, of course, it's always an aim to win. I'd really like to earn my maybe I've earned my red banner now and get up there with the big boys. And I think that's probably unqualified me for the club championship next season. So yeah, I'll be pretty keen to hold my position and win this.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck. And before we let you go, Guy, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yes, obviously, Racetech, very, very thrilled to have them on board. Yourselves with Apex Racing TV. Always enjoy watching the aftermatch, and can't speak highly enough about NQR and my teammates. Very supportive environment, and yeah, really enjoying that. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Guy, and best of luck at Zandvoort in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers, guys. Ciao.
That was Guy Crofts, of course, yeah, representing Never Quit Racing. Marco, who are you going to have a chat with next?
Well, let's have a talk with Tony Krusterman. Hello, Tony.
Hey, Marco.
So, first of all, how are you doing? And secondly, describe your evening of racing for us.
First race, I was pretty comfortable there in second until I had a little bit of a brain fade and, hit the wall there with a lap to go. So unfortunately, some damage to the steering and brought it home in third place. In the last race, I was just trying to be very, very conservative, stay out of any trouble. And, I tried to make an opportunity, I guess, on the very last lap there with Harold. I don't think Harold's too happy with me, but in the end, we finished in the same positions we went into that little section. So no harm, no foul, I guess.
What is your opinion on this racetrack? It's the second time that Euro V8s come here. First was a couple of seasons ago, so now it's the second time. What is your opinion after 2 full meetings in here?
Very technical track and very difficult track, I think, to set the car up. And it's so so bumpy that all the setups seem to be some sort of compromise. They're good in one section and then terrible in another section. So we tried to come up with a compromise that would work. And I don't know that any of our teammates were absolutely happy with their setups, but it was good. And Gary, credit to Gary, he did a lot of work on it, and obviously paid off.
So 2 weeks time is Zandvoort. And in 1 month's time, of course, is the big enduro in Bathurst. When will you start the preparations for the crown jewel of the season?
Tomorrow morning. Bathurst. Luckily, Bathurst is on the official schedule pretty regularly, and we just had the Bathurst 1000. So it's a track I end up doing a lot of laps in, and looking forward to that. Zandvoort's a tricky little track, so that'll be a lot of fun as well, I think.
Well, Tony, thank you very much. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Racetech for sponsoring the series, all the guys that Never Quit Racing and Simability, and thank you to you guys for doing a great job on the broadcast as always.
Awesome, Tony. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you in a couple weeks' time.
Okay, take care.
So that was Tony Klusman once again, representing Never Quit Racing. So the final interview I think we're going to have is going to be with Harold Stadler, who managed to finish in second place in the feature race tonight. Harold, congratulations. I mean, I think the first thing we got to discuss, that final lap with Tony, it got a little bit scruffy near the end, but it looked like great racing against him.
Yeah, hello everybody. Yeah, that last lap was a little bit crazy. Short version is first he put the bumper on me, then I put the bumper on him. That's the short version.
Yeah.
I tried to, after he pushed me aside to get the inside, I tried to let my bumper not clear him, and yeah, then he turned into the corner, and you saw what happened. Yeah.
Still, it's fantastic second place, and certainly very entertaining on the broadcast. So thanks for supplying that. But I mean, late on in that feature race, because you stuck behind Gary Croft for it seemed about maybe quarter of an hour, and then late on at the end of the back straight, you made a couple of quite daring moves down the inside of him. But yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. So were you lining that move up perhaps for a while? Because you seemed really good at kind of breaking late into that corner at the end of the back straight.
Yeah, I recognized very early that I can break much later than Gary, and yeah. Well, in that I had the problem that I couldn't get the better exit onto the straight. We were always even, and yeah, it was more or less kind of how I get the corners before to stay close enough. And in my first attempt, I just thought, yeah, I try it. I have to look at the replay if I was deep enough in or what was there. I think I left him enough room and got a nudge on the front. So that was the first try, but yeah, at the end I couldn't get close enough again to make a serious attempt. I just tried to make him nervous. Maybe I could gain profit from that, but yeah, no.
And I mean, how did you find this Belle circuit? You know, racing around here today and also practicing as well, because some people despise this place. Do you kind of enjoy making laps around here?
Well, it is kind of a different track for iRacing. I think it's the only full street circuit apart from Bathurst, but and yeah, I pretty much like this kind of tracks, but I couldn't get my grips to the last two sectors for a while. So that was a bit hard, I would say, and a bit annoying in practice. But I finally found a little bit of time in the official practice today. So yeah, at
And
the end, I like this track.
yes, I mean, we loved watching you race down to today. It was absolutely fantastic entertainment, especially in that race too. But so congratulations. Howard, is there anyone you'd like to thank before you let you go?
Yeah, of course, as usual, you guys for broadcasting and Racetech for sponsoring the league. Of course, Clyde and his guys for doing the league, and Fitztai and George for the help with setup and driving and comparing each other and such stuff.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Howard, and congratulations on yet another podium in the series.
Thank you. See you. Goodbye.
So that was Howard Stadler representing TechSense Fitztai Motorsports. So, Mark K. I mean, what a feature race that was. The sprint race wasn't bad, but the feature race was certainly one that will go down in the memory, no doubt. Saw a fantastic feature race about 2 seasons ago round this place, but yet another one today, and another first-time winner. I mean, it's ironic that I was chatting ages about JP Boosterland's legendary win round Lime Rock, and that was the only time that a surprise winner ever happened. And then all of a sudden we have 3 race meetings where we have, sorry, we had 2 race meetings where 3 drivers get their first win, and 2 of them are club drivers. Well, yeah, pretty mad.
Pretty mad, and that shows the unpredictability and the beauty of this championship, where on any given Saturday, everything and anything can happen. And it has been a pleasure to bring you this round from Belle once again. And if you haven't had enough of racing, well, right now, in just 10 seconds time, you can switch to the other stream we are having here on Apex Racing TV, because the official Formula Renault 3.5 is starting, and it will be at Sebring with Sam Kumo and Lee Thompson, and you don't want to miss it. If you haven't had enough of cars running in the sunset in bumpy American racetracks, you can switch there and have a lot of fun. And of course, tomorrow morning 10:45 GMT, the Aussie Mixed and Fixed series will be back, and of course back from Monday we'll be back to our regular scheduled programming that you all know and love.
Yes, certainly do keep your eyes peeled on our YouTube channel, also the iRacing Esports Network as well, for more broadcasts. But I mean, hopefully you've enjoyed this action. How have you not? And of course, 2 weeks' time, we'll be back at Zandvoort in this series as well. So for now, from me and from Mark K, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.